mums, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to reduce the chances of your baby dying from SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, also known as when your baby has passed away but they don't have a reason for death, and it can affect children up to 2 years old. If you guys are new to my channel, I am pregnant with my second baby and I have a 15-month-old son. I post 4 videos every single week and I would love for you to check out this video. But if it's something that you're not quite into, then feel free to check out my channel for some other content. I post all about pregnancy, newborns, toddlers, and weekly family vlogs. But if you are interested to hear more about SIDS, then keep on watching. So over the last couple of years, there has been thousands of infant deaths, and they refer to them as SIDS if they cannot find a cause for the death, and usually most of them happen within the first 3 months. So Red Nose Foundation has actually came out with some guidelines that you guys can follow to reduce the chances, and I thought I would sit down with you guys today and talk to you a little bit about those. Most of the ways that you can prevent SIDS happen to be when they are sleeping. So there's a lot of things about their sleep environment and what they're wearing and all of that that can prevent this, and or at least lessen the chances of it happening. So let's talk about their bed first. When it comes to a cot or a bassinet, you want to make sure that their mattress is firm and well fitted so that there is no space around the edges. You also want to make sure that there's no cot bumpers on the side, because if for whatever reason your child does roll over and they're face first against that, they are not going to be able to breathe properly. You also want to make sure that your cot or your bassinet is up to safety standards and that there's no broken parts on it. You don't want to use it at all if there is any chance that anything could go wrong with it, and always keep your rails up obviously so that your child can't fall out. When it comes to what you keep in the cot, don't keep any pillows, cushions, blankets or loose items like stuffed toys or anything like that in those first 6 months before they can get up and roll around and sit up, because if they're going to roll over, same thing with the cot bumper, if they have a stuffed toy straight up against their face, they're going to die of suffocation again, or at least struggle to breathe, which can put a lot of stress on their body. When it came to having a pillow in the cot, we waited until just before Hunter was a year old, and I only started off by having it with his day sleep so that I could make sure that he was properly sleeping on it. He wasn't trying to sleep like face down on it and all of that. So you definitely want to be a bit more supervised once you start introducing those things. When it comes to blankets, if you are going to have your child in a blanket and they're not swaddled, you want to make sure that their feet are pressed up down the bottom of their cot or bassinet and that the blanket is tucked in at the bottom. This way they can't wriggle under it and they can't pull the blanket back up over their face. You want to make sure that their head is uncovered at all times, so you don't want to put them to sleep with a beanie on, and you also want to make sure that there's no blankets on their face. Make sure that there's nothing else obstructing it. So those little cute Suki rugs, they are really cute, but you want to make sure that it's nowhere near their face because, again, suffocation risks. If your baby is going to be in a sleeping bag, you want to make sure that it is well fitted so that it can't come up over their mouth, and you also want to make sure that it either has armholes or sleeves so that if for whatever reason they do roll around, they can push themselves off the side of a cot or anything like that, and they've still got a little bit of ability to help themselves out there. You also want to make sure that sleeping bags don't have a hood on them, because again, it can just come straight over their face or even wrap around their neck if it's too long. Something that's really common in cold climates like where I'm living now is to have an electric blanket, and they say not to put one on a baby's bed because they can't regulate their temperature properly and it is really easy to overheat them. So you want to make sure that you are turning on a heater in the room instead, that you can adjust their clothing to, instead of putting something directly on their body, because they are just not going to be able to tell you if it's too hot for them or not. And if you sleep that whole night through, then they may not even wake and they could be overheating, and it's going to cause a lot of other issues. Something to keep in mind when it comes to smokers is that it is going to be all over their clothing and their skin, so you want to avoid them kissing your baby. You want to make sure that they're washing their hands and washing their clothes, and if they're holding them, they're using clean clothes. Even though when you wash their clothes you can't fully get rid of all of that out of them, it's still better for them to be wearing obviously a fresh piece of clothing than something they've literally just been smoking in. and you can smell it off them a mile away anyway. So that is something that they say to minimize as much as possible to reduce the risks of SIDS. I'm not too sure for the reasons for this, but one of the things on the list is to breastfeed your baby. Apparently that reduces the risks of SIDS in infants. So I can't really answer any questions on that, but I'm sure that you can look up some research to support that. Lastly, it's just really important that when your baby is sleeping, to make sure that they are sleeping on their back until they are at a stage where they can roll both ways comfortably and sit themselves up, so that if for whatever reason they do roll against, say, the side of their cot or something, they can move themselves again. So in those first couple of months, if it means that you need to swaddle them so that they can't roll or anything like that, then that's an option there. Those things that you can put in the cot that go either side of them to like wedge them on their back are not recommended, because again, they can like roll to their side. Same with the docker tots. If they roll to the side, they can push their face straight up against the side of it and suffocate on those as well, even though I know they're a really popular item. So I hope some of the things that I have mentioned today will help prevent your child from passing away from SIDS. And if you know anyone else who is expecting a newborn or has a newborn, feel free to share this video with them as well, because obviously it's really important that everyone is educated on this to try and prevent as many tragedies as possible. If you would like to see any more videos on pregnancy, newborns, toddlers, or even just some weekly family vlogs, feel free to subscribe down below and check out the rest of my channel. I post 4 videos every single week, and I would love to see you in the next one.